Okay. Oh, oh, goodness. Hi there.
There you are.
Sorry about that. My goodness, my computer isn't working at the moment, so I just have my cell phone and my Zoom is being horrible.
No worries.
How are you, Mr. Horror Patch?
I'm
Michael
great.
Patch.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm okay, just feeling a little dead inside, but besides that, I'm quite all right.
You're looking good.
Thank you. I try. I have this regiment, this daily routine of moisturizing with you know, dirt and blood and oil and whatever to get me all lubed up for such important interviews. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no worries at all. Uh, why don't you introduce yourself, Max?
Well, sure. I am Max Murder, leader of the undead rebellion called Blood Opera. We are here to cannibalize the entire human race and also play some heavy metal to actually lure the crowd so that we can eat them in various cities around the world.
Yes, you are. And we're here to talk about and celebrate your debut album, Songs in the Key of Death.
Yeah, we are so excited. Oh my, I have so much to say about it, but I'll let you ask the question so I don't ramble. I tend to ramble.
Well, your new album, debut album, just came out a couple of weeks ago. And I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit and talk about you guys.
I would love that.
First of all, your the name of your band, Blood Opera. How did
Yeah.
that come about? Where did that come from?
So interestingly enough, that is was a brainchild of kind of a previous plan, so to speak, for the band. We had actually spoken with my friend Chris, who puts on Evil Dead the Musical, if you've heard of that. It's
Oh,
been a
yes.
huge run forever. We were talking to actually the Romero family, including George himself before he passed away. Rest in peace, Father. And a few
Sure.
other kind of creative forces, so to speak, in the Toronto, Ontario, Canada kind of area. And we were actually planning on putting on a musical. Not everybody knows this, but of Return of the Living Dead. It was going to be a kind of a take on the Evil Dead the musical. The Night of the Living Dead musical had been done. Toxic Avenger music had been done. Little Shop of Horrors had been done.
Sure.
And we actually wanted to um, because there's actors amongst our ranks and makeup artists and costumers, and actually one of George's daughters is a costumer for television and film and theater, and so we wanted to actually put on a live musical, which may still hopefully one day happen. You never know. Of Return of the Living Dead, which is obviously a very notorious punk rock um, favorite movie of ours, genre zombie film. And
Sure.
so we're friends with some of the actors from that. Mark Philbin actually came to one of our shows, and so we wanted to kind of we've always wanted to give back to the community. And so Blood Opera itself, the name is simply that we were going to be spraying, much like Evil Dead the musical. There were going to be parts of the Return of the Living Dead musical where we were going to be, singing operatically and spraying the crowd with blood. So it's as simple as that, really. But the cooler, longer story of that is that yeah, it was going to be a musical, and then what actually happened was we tried to attain the rights. To Return of the Living Dead through MGM Entertainment, my lawyers and a bunch of other people, were having talks, and we actually spent quite a few $1,000s on even trying to just, get the ball rolling. It didn't actually come to fruition, unfortunately. With Dan O'Bannon's death, the director of Return of the Living Dead,
Sure.
the rights are actually still kind of in limbo. The Return of the Living Dead, like licensing, the rights to the imagery and like the title are now like for sale, like that. You've been probably seeing t-shirt companies and stuff selling a lot of more Return of the Living Dead things and toys and things. So
Yeah.
those rights are actually now available, but unfortunately the music that we wanted to be playing, is still, the rights still belong to Dan, and the rights still belong to the bands, obviously, that created those amazing songs. So it was actually kind of Blood Opera became this, it went from being a musical band, like a band for specifically a musical, to a band playing cover songs for convention and horror movie lovers, to what this album is, which is, a whole host of original songs. So, yeah.
Well, hopefully you end up getting the rights to play the music.
We would love to do that. We've covered SSQ and the Cramps and other things, especially when we do horror conventions, because it gets the crowd ramped up, because they love that film, obviously, as they should. But we go with the flow with these zombies. There's no rules, there's no rule book. So whatever kind of happens, and that we almost are thankful that didn't work out the way we'd planned, because the band has become what it is today due to having to find other kind of ways of unleashing our undead creativity, so to speak. So here's all these, we have one cover song on the album, Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
Yeah.
but everything else, they're all originals. So we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, they are. And to talk about some of those songs from Songs in the Key of Death, um, almost all of the songs, except for two or three, I believe, are based on horror films.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
for example, The Gates of Hell is based on the classic Lucio Fulci film.
We love Fulci. We are huge, huge Fulci fans. House by the Cemetery, all that. I grew up on Italian horror,
Yes.
and because Maurizio Guarini, is actually a friend of ours that we've met through the horror community. He was lovingly, willingly able to, donate his synth piano skills on it. And Goblin has been a huge musical inspiration to myself and the whole band. So yeah, we love that. We were able to take actually the lyrics, because I don't know if you know this, but the lyrics as well from most of the films, especially The Gates of Hell, like the lyrics are actually lifted right from the script. So the dead will rise from the suicide of a priest. That's all said by Teresa in the film. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, shout outs to Italian horror fans.
That's right. That's right. Definitely one of the best out there. Love my
Agreed.
Italian horror movies. But
Oh,
anyway, you kind of segged into a question I was going to ask you later on, but I might as well
oh,
ask it now since you talked about it. Uh, for the song The Gates of Hell, you actually have the composer uh, of Goblin
yeah,
actually,
Maurizio.
yes, he does some of the keys for the song. Now,
Yeah.
uh, was he able to do that live with you guys in the studio, or was it just something he did from Italy and sent over?
So yeah, so it's funny because we know Maurizio from having seen him perform live, not only with Goblin back in the day, but then doing his solo things as of kind of the last 15 or so years. He's put on little shows here and there. He's signed autographs at our favorite, horror conventions. And we didn't know that when I messaged him, I said, "Hey, how you doing? You want to go for a coffee? A little sip of blood or whatever it is?" And he said, I live in Italy now. And I said, "Oh my God." So he went back to the motherland, and I was happy for him. He went for lots of different reasons. I think it was during the pandemic as well. Not the zombie pandemic, but the other one that was killing more humans than we've had the chance to. But he said, "Hey, I'm in Italy. I guess the internet is a little bit slower there per se." So it took a little while for him to be able to figure that out for us. I also, as a composer, it's difficult. I'm sure when, a band like us sends you a song like that and says, "Hey, what can you do? What can you write for this?" And they go, you're going to have to give me a minute, So, because, we've got the two guitars, we've got the bass and everything already in there. We asked and we also have backing tracks of keys already that, our drummer actually is the composer for. So he was like, "What do you want me to do?" And we said, just put your spin on it, because we look up to you so much. And so he said, "I'd love to put kind of the choirs and the hums in there," which to me was even more Italian sounding. So he was able to do that. He gave us a few takes, and we chose the best one. But yeah, that was not an in person, as normally we were talking in person. But now that he lives so far away, it was all interwebs based.
Nice. Well, some of the other songs on the album, which are based off of horror movies, actually have uh, some live audio, not live audio, but audio from
Yeah,
the films. A Waste of Good Suffering, about Hellraiser,
yeah.
um, The Ballad of Father Malone has Adrienne
Adrian
Barbeau.
Barbeau. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we actually, it's cool that we, again, you can't these days just kind of go online, and we don't want to steal anything.
sure.
We want to say, "Hey, would you be at all interested in helping this, little band of zombies kind of reach our goals musically?" And because we're just, we're the biggest horror nerds under all this, and we've looked up to these films, actors, composers, directors for so long, for 175 years personally, and myself. But the someone like Adrienne Barbeau that we just messaged out of the blue, and she just said, "Hey, I would love to record a little snippet for you." So we had Tony Todd was the first that agreed to do a voiceover for Candyman, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And again, these weren't in person, but they were done over video or over phone call. I actually had the most interesting phone call with Michael Berryman, who you obviously know from The Hills Have Eyes, which our
Yes.
Fight to Survive track is based on.
Yep.
And so he did 4 or 5 different takes over the phone, because actually my old fingers couldn't get the computer working, just like today. And we had this long conversation about politics, and him working on his cut scenes from the movie The Crow. And he's such an interesting individual. So whether it was Adrienne or Tony or Michael Berryman, Linnea Quigley, we actually met. We've met a few times, as we have our own trash. Actually, my dear to my heart partner dresses up as Trash from Return of the Living Dead. So when we were walking around Comic-Con, Linnea said, hey, you, I know that dress. And so we said, "Hey, do you want to," I was hosting some panels in human form, obviously. And we said, "Hey, Linnea, would you be down to do a voiceover and do your sexy Eat Me Alive thing?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, sure." So we're just so blessed here as horror fans that all these these huge important celebrities to us have been willing to help on this album. It's great. It's incredible. It's like not only does it help the music and it's cool for the audience listening to the song, but us as horror nerds, we're just oh my god, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, I can bet you were.
Yeah.
That is incredible to have those horror celebrities contribute to
Oh,
your songs. It just makes them that much better.
we can't we well, and I appreciate that you appreciate that, Mike, because we've had a few people say like, hey, are those like those are live snippets, those aren't taken from the movies, like that's them. Now we said, yep, that's them. We got fans in high places, so we're very thankful.
Well, that just, like I said, it makes things that much better. Um, your characters for your band, for you and your bandmates, do you guys have backstories? Do you, when you're out and about, do you stay in character when you have the makeup on? How does that work?
Well, that would be assuming that this is a fucking costume. This ain't a costume, Mike. This is a way of life. No, we get asked that all the time. The gentlemen in the band are very creative. They have all the zombies have kind of regular jobs, whether it's working at the graveyard or doing creating costumes or makeups for other people, or working at the diamond glass cutting factory or whatever. We do what we have to do to make ends meet, but you will never know who's in this band besides our gorgeous zombie form. We have to work, like I said, we have to work so hard on hydrating the skin.
Yes.
Every time we're resurrected for a show and we pop out of the coffin, it takes a lot of work to look this good, if you know what I'm saying. So no, we're dedicated to it. We actually we don't even like the term costume because it's like we embody who we are. They've all backstories or not, we're alive again. So every single one of us was once human, and now we are resurrected with the cold blood in our hearts, to give you the coolest, movie going, almost musical movie going experience that you can have. You don't know what, when people come to our shows for the first time, most of them are just not only can they not stop staring at the stage with all the crazy dead bodies and shit before we get on stage, but then when we're on there ripping each other's guts out, disemboweling each other, having human flies buzz around, like they can't believe it. So they have a lot of questions, just like yourself afterwards, going, is that, are there people under there? Are they crazy? Are they psychopaths? Are they escaped from a mental institution? Are they okay? And the answer is yes to all of that. So yeah, anything you want to know, every single member of the band has their own social media, as you can approach them, whether or not they'll speak English or even come out of the grave to talk to you. Like I love it. I love the limelight. So you say, hey, you say jump, I say into what grave? How far? So I'm yours. But MAXXX Murder is that's the one you want to know. I guess Rip Junk is the ladies' man. Realistically, he's single out there for all of you.
Okay. I'll pass that along.
I'm taken by a few, so but there's always room for more.
uh, there's parts to go around, right?
There are many limbs to be shared, my friend. Yes.
Yes. So you touched on it briefly, but what does a blood opera live show look like? I mean, uh, do I need to wear a raincoat a la Gore, or what are we looking at here?
It's interesting you say that. So we always have wanted to, immerse the audience in the experience. When there's nothing worse to me than going to a live show of a band or a performance and feeling like you're the audience and they're up there. You want to be a part of it. You want to have that monster tap you on the shoulder. You want to leave there being like, what the fuck was that? Like, that those visceral experiences, which I think is why we love horror so much, is that it really makes you feel, you're jumping, you're scaring, you're like, don't go in there, don't do that. We love bringing that to the crowd. So, we don't want you to bring a raincoat, but maybe if you're allergic to blood or other bodily how do I call it? Jizz, vomit. No, I'm kidding. But yes, we've been coined as kind of the Canadian guar. So, and actually, we opened up for them. So, we're spraying blood everywhere. Some of the people that are seeing us for the first time aren't sure what to make of it. But it's the full experience. We've got fly swatters that we hand out. There's we really try and give the crowd the experience that they've paid for. And so it's funny because actually the security often are the ones that are the guys watching the stage. They're given the raincoats, right? And the amps are all covered in garbage bags. And actually the last show we played with Tragedy, incredible Bee Gees heavy metal cover band from
I
New
love
York.
them.
They're amazing. And so we finally got to play with them. And, I was talking to the sound, the lighting person after the show. And I said, "Ooh, I'm a bit sorry about the blood, but it was coming. Oh, it's in us. It's in you to give." And so they said, actually, it wasn't the blood. It was the mix of the blood with the glitter that really, did, like, it has the cleaners earning their daily wage, if you know what I'm saying.
I
So,
can imagine.
you come to a Blood Opera show and you don't know what to expect, and that's what we want. We want to keep everybody guessing. It's never the same show twice. There may be there may be dead people on stage. There may be live killings on stage. There may be sexy dancers on stage. There may be blood spraying out of a 3-foot penis on stage. You never know.
Nice. Gotcha there. So, will we see any touring in support of Songs in the Key of Death?
So we've definitely, we played a lot of shows in October last year. We had our CD release party this year, opening up for Macabre as well, which was incredible. We have a few more shows lined up, which we can't tell you about just yet. But we're actually going to be getting out of the city of Toronto and spreading the word of the dead across the land. So yes, stay tuned for Horror Convention and Comic-Con concerts coming up, and stay tuned for us coming to your town because
Chicago?
we'd love to. I have to actually find out if I can leave the country at the moment because there's a little run-in with the police per se. They're not always, the pigs aren't always fans of what we do, you see. But we're planning some big things, and we've had some help from some huge promoters, and actually even some people like John Massari have been, whispering some cool little things in our ears. So yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Well, that's really great to hear. How would you describe Blood Opera's musical style? I mean, I when I was listening to the album each time, there's obviously metal, a little bit of punk. What else
Yep.
inspires you guys?
We are inspired by so much musically. The guys in the band, everything, obviously, like you said, from kind of like 80s metal to glam to like punk and even thrash. We love pop music because a lot of people have said like, "Hey, your songs are kind of catchy too," and we say, "Yeah, like we sometimes I'm laughed at because I've got Cinderella in my." All those black metal bands with all the names that you can't read, you know what I mean? Which is kind of, I love not being able to read those. I make a game out of it. I think it's kind of cool. But the amount of influences for our band are huge. We actually have some younger zombie members in the band these days, and they're introducing Rip Junk and I to newer modern music, which like you can hear on this album for sure. We've got some kind of heavier influences. Mixed with our hair metal kind of glam roots, if I dare say. But we love 80s soundtrack songs. So that's why I'm like, I love pop music. I love, just that catchy chord progression with some crazy high pitched singing, and some, kind of sleazy guitars in there. But you, the best example I can give of that is actually, I had one of my long friends over. We've been friends for over 100 years, and they were here, and I played for them a song off the album. I think it was The Gates of Hell, actually, before it came out. And they said, what do you call this music? What is this? And that was that my, what's left of my heart melted, because I was so happy to hear that, because we don't want you to be, we call it dead metal. We don't want you to be able
Yes.
to pinpoint a specific music type. Anything these days that makes, gets people moving and thinking and gets them to come back because it's really good and catchy. To me, that's something new. It can be a mix and be inspired by things that have been around for ages, but to really bring something new, that's why that made me so happy, because I was like, you don't know what to call it, because there is no name for it. We're creating a genre of that includes so many different influences, that it's truly something that we can call our own, and that's why we call it dead metal.
Well, it's to me, it's great. I listened to the album several times while preparing for
Yeah.
this. Some of my favorite tracks on the album are, first of all, Gates of Hell. I love that one.
Yes.
Um, Fight to Survive,
Yeah.
About the Hills Have Eyes. I love that song because
And that's so. Yeah.
it's very melodic and catchy, like you said. And you know, that's why there's some of my favorites. Be My Victim, the Candyman track. That's another
Yep.
great one.
All
And
three of those. Yeah.
of course, the amazing cover of the Dickies song "Killer Clowns from Outer Space" is another great one. So there's a lot of, to me, there's no fillers on this album. They're all great tracks.
Oh, thank you, Mike. That means a lot. Along those lines, like that's exactly what we wanted to give people was, I find that a lot of bands these days, they pick a sound and they stick with it, which is fine. It's what you love. But then I find that a whole CD is kind of it flows, but it's kind of the same genre, and the songs are often based on a specific point in time from the band, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Bands grow, bands change. But the interesting thing about Songs in the Key of Death was that a lot of the songs, for instance, you mentioned Fight to Survive, that was actually written, years ago. So that's kind of a shout out to, the old kind of hair metal sound, which is kind of, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, verse type thing with a catchy hook. And then there's, something more ballady in there, like Be My Victim, which,
Yeah.
we've played at like black metal concerts, and some of the old guys in the back have their arms crossed because like this isn't heavy. But then Gates of Hell comes on after it, and they're like, oh shit, like holy moly. So we love that, that bit of surprise, keeping you, again, like just like our live shows, like keeping you wanting more, because you don't know what sound's going to happen next, what it is. And with the amount of influences and how Songs of the Key of Death was technically written, it took us years to be able to put this album together, due to the pandemic and so many other things, that it's actually a mix of kind of old blood opera, modern current blood opera, and things that we're hoping to experiment with, and we don't know where it's going to go. Where there's one constant in this band, and that it's that nothing is ever going to be the same. It's always changing, so that you've got something to go and something new to listen to.
Well, that's great. That to me, your philosophy for your band is what makes a great band, because you're not always listening to the same stuff time after time. You get, you know, you add different genres, different sounds, and that keeps people on their toes. So, what does
Yeah,
the future hold
yeah.
for Blood Opera?
Oh, the future, the future. Well, the past has been so exhilarating and exciting. We don't know what has been, at the next turn. We've had a lot of ups, we've had a few downs. This album is obviously, we're so excited to be giving it to people. CD stores are starting to carry it. Like I said, we've got shows coming up. There, the next kind of future few years for this band, I couldn't even pinpoint you what's going to happen next, and that's kind of where that's what keeps us going. I think is that we have goals, and we'd love to get on some festivals and get out there and play some more international shows, which we're going to be doing. Stay tuned. But the cool thing about us is that we just don't know. We often, we feel like that bullied kid at school. We don't know, what our next day at school is going to bring, and is it going to be something exciting? Is it going to be something scary? We're always up for whatever happens, and I think the cool thing about being in this band, for me at least, is that we don't fit in anywhere. We're kind of these. We're obviously, we think we're good looking, but others see us and they go, "Oh dear God, what is this hideous mess?" And then they hear the music. They hear the music and they go, "Hey, I buy that CD. I like that. I go to their shows." So what's in tune, what's in store for you, I couldn't even tell you, but it's gonna be something big, and we're just excited to be along for this roller coaster, man.
Well, I look forward to it. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you one last question about the prosthetics for the
Yeah.
band. Who designs them? Can you talk about that briefly?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into again, this, completely hydrated regimen, to have my skin looking so glisteningly green, and had to have this blood so shiny. But the when personally, MAXXX Murder, when I am not singing the forefront my guts out on stage, I am designing stuff for us. So I work predominantly in the makeup and effects community, and I've been doing that kind of off and on for a decade or so, whether it's costume building, prop building, sculpting, mask making. We've made everything. I have got a little shop that we use. We do little indie films. We make, silicone Freddy Krueger masks. So the reason why, because people go, "Oh, like those aren't Halloween store costumes." I say, "No, you can't buy this shit. You can try and steal it from me, and I may let you have it, but this is all custom stuff. We everyone that's in the band, we take an impression, we mold their body, essentially. So we mold
Right.
their face, we'll mold their stomach or their hands if they need cool gloves, or obviously masks that are form fitting so that we can play comfortably in them, because I can't have something that where I'm just swimming in it on stage. So we got to keep this close to the skin here. It's a lot of rubber and leather, you see. And I'm also, and the guys in the band, we're collectors. So we've been, whether it's, those humongous bullet belts, or all the leather that we wear, the rubber, the biker boots, it's all custom stuff, which again, if you search for it online, you may be able to find where we make this stuff, and how to get your hands on some of it. But we also make things for other bands. We get asked. There's a lot of kind of monster metal bands, so to speak, coming out of the woodwork,
Yeah.
that look to us for not only some inspiration but some help making these things. We've helped musicians. We've worked with a lot of sideshow people, and made props for them. So yeah, it's a labor of love, Mike, but you know, we wouldn't have it any other way. We've been asked, actually. They're like, would you ever take the costumes off? And I say again, it's not a fucking costume. We can't take this off. If we take this off, it's not blood opera. It's something totally different. We'll sit down there with glasses of wine and acoustic guitars and serenade you, you know, but that won't be blood opera. That's something else. So yeah, we try and keep it real. The undead, keeping it real.
There you go. And I wouldn't want it any other way.
Thank you, Mike. That means the world. You know, you're a lovely guy.
Thank you very much. You're not so lovely. You're kind of falling apart, but that's okay.
You come see a show, Mike, and we'll change your mind, all right?
I would absolutely love to. For sure.
Anytime. Tickets are on us. You come, you bring all your Horror Patch friends, and because we love what you guys do as well. We've been following Horror Patch actually for a little bit. So when you asked to be on here, I jumped, you know, out of my coffin at the opportunity. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And Max, it was extremely nice talking to you. It was my sincere pleasure finding more out about you and the band. I'm sure our readers will be enthralled by everything you have to say. So I look forward to what you guys have to come up with in the future, and I wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Mike from Horror Patch. Kisses. I'm sorry that the whole band couldn't be here today, but you know, they're working their regular jobs, and you know, I'm here just,
Understandable.
you know, yeah. Well, you know, I'm a free man, but well, still on probation, I guess. But you know, I've got the time. So anytime you want to chat, have a coffee, you know, talk about who we want to kill next, you give me a ring.
I'll do that. And you take care, Max, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, take care.
Peace.
Bye-bye.